the executive session. Good morning, ladies.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. We're just piggybacking on with DJ's spot.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's take about a 3-minute break till it gets here then.
David coming in.
I don't think so. Byron texted me yesterday and said he wouldn't be in.
So you just coming with Dave? That's what this is for?
Who?
Dave Fleming's supposed to be there tonight.
Yeah, but Byron is the one that texted me and said that he was not going to make it. Dave's not going to be here today, right?
Yeah.
There he is?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Morning.
Good morning.
Any more word on that baler project? On the recycling baler?
Oh, we got it taken care of.
You did, okay.
Yeah, it was the call them capacitors or whatever. They were too small for the machine.
Last I knew you would need help unload it, so
Yeah, no, they
good to
way
go.
off the record.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't go over so good. How about the dirt? Did they ever call you for that?
Nobody's
Not
ever
yet?
called.
I'll talk to her today then.
And I've seen someone hauled some in there.
I don't know who it could have been. I thought maybe it was you.
No?
And maybe they're probably not ready for it.
And it could be.
Yeah,
So,
because I know they haven't tore out all that stuff.
yeah, it could be. So, can't buy a ring, can we?
It's really bad out that way.
It is. Yep.
I've never seen it that dry.
What's that?
I've never seen it that dry out there.
That's probably right.
Well, Mom called last night and cattle were out all over the place and they think they put them in the pens this weekend. So Bob came out and Jeff and they kind of looked at it and it's like, well, why don't we just do it now? And because they're already out, so they just went to the pens because there's nothing out there, nothing for them to eat.
I've been feeding for a month.
Yeah.
I've fed more hay already than I've feed in a year.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, they were feeding bales, but once that bale was gone, those cows were still searching.
Okay. Call the meeting back to order. Good morning, Dave.
Morning. First off, October 26th is the deadline to file for this application. We did this last year. It's what they call the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program. We submitted this bridge to be rebuilt south of Dan Bussey's on Road 31, and then they'll allow up to $150,000, and then it's 90-10 money. And then we was going to take out a bridge which was 6 miles north of Bird City and a little bit to the west, and then we get a $50,000 credit. So we're going to resubmit all them papers again this go around and see if we get selected. So
Good.
that's in the running on that.
That's the bridge with the holes in it?
It seemed like we've been fighting it, yeah. It's better the last, seemed like, since we had a little more material, but it's still an older bridge, so. Hells Canyon project. Gerald got with me last week. He's not comfortable with a box bridge on that. I think a lot of it's because we'd have so much overburden over the top and you'd have to be so wide, and then you got a lot of springs we're fighting up there in that area. So he wants us to go with a bridge. And he said we probably only need a 20-foot bridge, but he said for scour purposes and everything like that, he'd just soon as go a little wider. He said most of your money's tied up in your abutment and your wing wall and everything like that, so it doesn't take much more to add on to the deck and stringers, you know, and get another 10 foot. So he's probably gonna, with your guys' approval, we'll go ahead and have him submit engineering stuff for a 30-foot bridge, steel-driven H-pile. He'll have to file it with the Division of Water Resources, and then, or Water Division, however that is, and then he'll go ahead and procure bids on that, and then we can accept or refuse the bids when they come in, see how that comes in on that project, so.
I like the idea of the wider deck on it anyway, farm equipment, busy highway. I mean, it is a busy road, so.
And you know, first we thought maybe we could sway that just a little more, but he said your line of sight, he said, I think you still need to retain close to what you have and to be, you know, on a federal aid route. We don't want to be restricting the speed, you know, limits to 35 or something, so. That's what he come up with on that, so we'll let him go ahead and do some more work on that. This was brought to my attention a little bit. This is Road 10, north of the River Road. This, Roger's familiar with this one, but we've had a request to open this road up. And like this is A.J. McAtee's place here. And then if we was to take this on straight through, and you can see this was an elevated road. They closed, this section was closed when they moved the river road from here up to there. But this was open, never was closed, and so they was wanting to know if we could get this open back up to eliminate a lot of farm equipment, because they have to either go clear around to the highway and back north, or they have to go clear down on Road 7 on any equipment like that. We'd have to take out quite a few trees in here. I did look, I didn't think I'd ever entertained this thought at all, but I was surprised how dry it is. We could post it, minimum maintenance, low water crossing right through this river bottom area here.
That's the east end of your pasture. I'm not sure I like that idea.
What's where the road is now?
What's that?
What's there now? If you-
There was kind of like I say, this is a fair, looks like a fair elevation here for the first half mile, and then doesn't look like anything for the next half mile. Well, it'd be a mile and a half up to that point.
But I mean, there's no road going through there right now. It's
No,
just using
no,
it as
nothing.
farmland or what?
It's just pasture on all this part right here, but the fences are back on this first
Build a
stretch.
bridge.
What's that?
You're gonna have to build a bridge.
I don't know. That's whether you want to leave a low water crossing, just,
You can't build water crossing that. It's a Republican River.
and that might be, I don't know.
That's swampy.
I was surprised we drove through it the
Well,
other day.
yeah,
so,
you drove through it now, drive through it in
Yeah.
the spring.
Yeah, so,
You ain't gonna low water cross that.
okay.
No way.
That's the reason, if anything, it'd probably have to, you know, like a concrete base or something, low water for that.
Are you talking about the benefit of one individual, or?
I know both Randy and Bob would both be interested in doing that. They'd be happy with that. And,
We'd all be happy with a lot of things.
yeah, well, and the other thing is safety factor, you know, whether they're running on highways, and it may
Take
interfere
the
with some
same
other
risk as
people.
everybody else.
So, anyway, I said I'd bring it up and see what you guys thought, so.
What's your idea on it?
We're gonna spend a lot of money and a lot of manpower to please two individuals. No.
Okay.
And we don't want the traffic. We have problems with hunters and people sneaking in all the time. And we're just giving them a bigger access.
That's a special interest project.
Okay. All right, well, that's the reason I said bring it up, so. All right, here's another one that was approached, and I need to research this a little more. An individual this is coming out of CRP, and this is wasteland, and he's gonna wanna put in cattle guards here and then over here. And I don't have a problem with it. I just think we have never had a cattle guard policy. They've all been in place since I've been in here. You know, I forwarded some of that information, you know, from
Right, yeah, I
Decatur
got that, what,
County.
yesterday afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we need to research it and see what we really should require. You know, I think most of it should be the landowner has to install it and pay for it the first time. After that, maybe the maintenance would be the county or something like that. But we need to have some guidelines as far as minimum width and length as far as that
But that's
goes.
a minimal maintenance, right? The existing?
Yes, it is currently minimum maintenance, yes. This is north of Wheeler, northeast of Wheeler, this one, so.
But the considerations that need to be had is if anyone is wanting to use that minimal maintenance road, it has to be open because it is a road. And so if you're putting in cattle guards, you've got to have a policy in regards to width, maintenance, et cetera, if they're going to be put in. And like Dave said, he just forwarded me the Decatur County policy, which I just got yesterday afternoon and I didn't have time to look over. But you know, it may not be bad to go ahead and
We
at
haven't
least
had
have a
very many
policy in
requests for cattle
place.
guards, have you?
I don't think I've had any.
Yeah, so.
No.
Is that what, like that little canyon goes down in there? That,
This would be 2 miles north of the landfill and then a mile east and go into the north there.
it's a low maintenance, right along that CPR land.
It's minimum maintenance road, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, anyway, I think we need to research that. And it's not coming out this year, but something he wanted to look into, so.
Because he'd have grass on both sides.
Yeah. And, you know, even if you say 20-foot or 24-foot minimum width, you know, you need to specify, you need to have a gate on the side in case you have fire or something like that, the way the fire department or just, you know, the fire department get through there with the cattle guard, but, you know, if you have equipment with disc or something like that, they need to be able to go through there also. And
Yeah, you don't know if anybody travels that with farm equipment.
we don't think they do, but, yeah, you just don't know until after the
You'd have
fact.
to have a wide enough gate to let them through.
Yeah, okay. A couple things going to come up before the end of the month. Cheyenne County, Colorado is going to be auctioning a grader and a packer. I'm going to look into these just a little bit more. I know we only have one of these behind packers, and they have their place. They're pretty handy, so I'm going to study that a little bit. This grader is about 3,000 less hours than some Mars, plus it's a front wheel assist, so. I want a little more, wanted to know a little more information on it and oil samples and
Do we have one of
usage.
these?
That's the one Bird City was similar to that. It's a lot smaller. So,
Why are they
15?
getting rid of it?
no. This was sent to me, yesterday,
Well-
so I want to know.
You get a,
They're getting rid of a lot of equipment. And maybe such a thing that they want to go to a lease. You know, if you can't find a mechanic, maybe you want to lease them, and then you can have full maintenance, you know, service agreements and everything like this on this equipment. So,
wow, you got a 2006 Caterpillar for $15,250? Sounds pretty cheap.
that is right then, yeah.
But that's at auction.
It's an auction
So
coming
it'd be-
up, so that's what it is now.
That's probably their low.
Well, current bid.
Yeah, it should be. I haven't really researched the whole, but I'm thinking it'd be closer to 70. But
Yeah.
anyway, want to look into
Yeah.
that just a little more.
Do it.
Steering wheel or a manual?
It's got steering
Or
wheel.
stick.
Yeah. In fact, 2006 and 2007 was the last of the control arms until we went to that K series. So,
You're gonna go out and look at these or?
with your guys' permission, yeah, I would like to look into it.
See what's wrong with that. And you pull this with the grader?
Yes, there's brackets there, it looks like they just put it in on the ripper attachment, so you take your rippers out and put it on like we have the one at Bird. So. And then I forgot to tell you, last week, the PINCO was out along with some state bridge engineers, we call it Range Line Road, this is south of Cheyenne County feeders, that bridge there. So they're saying they want us to put some weight limit signs on that. It's getting some crushing of the piling. It's crazy, it was a single span bridge 25 years ago, so we made it 2-span. Thought we had it plenty safe. Well, now they're thinking there's too much weight, which there's a lot of volume over it. And
What's the weight limitation on it now?
there is no weight limit on it. It was unrestricted after we made it a 2-span bridge. So.
Yeah.
And it was overbuilt as far as that goes to start with, as far as size, so we may look at taking it out and putting in a box culvert or something like that, so. But currently I gotta put signs up and post it.
What are they thinking for weight limits? 50
It's
ton?
19, that's the weight limit, it gets trouble, is single axle. Instead of 22 as minimum, it's 19, 20, and 39 or something like that.
Okay,
So, anyway, that's something else we're gonna be looking into.
okay.
Okay. That's all I got.
And you passed your inspection at the dump?
Yes, we did.
That's good.
She was out this week, I think.
Yeah, I think Byron's doing a good job for you out there.
Yeah, I think so too. So, we took out the guardrail,
I seen that.
yeah, and then wound up going with these metal pipes, 4.5-inch metal oil well pipe, and put them kind of like, treated like a rub rail, and this way I think people are more comfortable pulling onto it. And
Oh, the scale.
on the east side scale, I'm sorry. So.
I wasn't aware that many people drove over it.
Some of them shouldn't have a license, how's
You know
that?
that?
No.
He said, what, 4 or 5 a year? They drive right over and he's got to pick them up with the machine and put them back on. So he went to this metal.
Yeah. So it kind of hugged the trailer
Guides
on,
it.
hopefully, so.
Buck darts.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, DJ.
Morning. Good morning. How are you doing today? Not bad. Well, I'm gonna bring forth stuff for the Prairie Dog Department. That time of year to purchase another pallet of Prairie Dog bait, and these are the bids I was able to get. Started off a little rough in the beginning. We had 17 complaints for prairie dog downs. I worked with a lot of them. I've narrowed it down to 4 that had to have letters sent out for warning for contact. I've received one of them back where they want to help take care of themselves and to me kind of oversee to make sure it's done correctly. And so I'm going to work with that.
So you have 3 individuals that haven't responded yet?
Not yet. I know they picked them up, but they have not sent response. I've given them till next week to at least send response.
Okay. What is,
So on the bid, currently we have been selling the Kaput D Prairie Dog bait. It's just the cheaper version, and for some reason this year, quantities of it are getting hard to find. And so I had to check with the other competition of Rosal Prairie Dog bait, and my only problem with that is that if we start with that bait, I have to finish the season due to copyright EPA laws. I have 1,300 pounds of the Kaput D right now, but it's pretty much been allocated for where I'm going to use it already.
so do you have a personal choice here?
I'd like to stick with the Kaput, but either way, I can switch. I'll just have to use it later at a later time and date if we decide to go with a different product.
Does it have a use-by date or
No,
anything?
I've known that it's good for at least 3 years because I get it in the safe wrap bags.
Well, it's not that much more to stay with where we're at, right?
No,
Is this in the county, or where are these people from?
that would be out of Goodland. Yeah, bid B is out of Goodland. Well, and Nutrient, and bid A is also Bird City.
Well, results the same? I mean, is one as good as the other, or?
As far as I can tell. I don't know if anybody else has any personal opinion on that. I've used both, and they both seem to work very similar.
The only thing I would say is if we keep the money in the county, and plus you have the other already that got to be used at some point.
Transportation costs, a lot of things. Roger?
No, I don't have a problem. Whatever he
Okay,
wants to
let's-
do.
So yeah, I'd like to go with bid A,
Yes, let's do.
if you make a motion on
Let's
that.
make a motion.
Make a motion to go with bid A and from Nutrien Ag.
Okay.
Second.
I suppose we better, we have two bids, one from Nutrien Ag Solutions, one from Helena Chemical. Two different kind of baits, Kaput D versus Rosal. The quantity's the same, price per pound is 10 cents more a pound with Nutrien. So that total is $3,740, and bid B is $3,540. We have a motion and a second to go with the Nutrien Ag for $3,740. All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
I don't have anything else for the county departments at this time.
okay. See, you brought some.
Yeah, yes, we have
Yes.
some guests. They, Danny and Bernadette with you in RCS, and they have a proposal they'd like to bring forth and make with you.
That's not anchored down. Go full on.
Well, I wasn't sitting on it yet.
I could have just, ripped it right out. I'm Danny Holsworth. I'm the district manager at the Conservation Office, and Bernadette Lungsford is the county district conservationist with NRCS. They're the federal agency in our office. We're coming to you today because we have an opportunity to write what is called an RCPP grant, which is Regional Conservation Partnership Program. Back in the spring, we had some meetings with the Kansas Water Office out of Topeka. The state of Kansas was awarded $2 million from the state of Colorado for overpumping the Ogallala Aquifer, shorting water downstream. So with that $2 million, it has to be spent in Cheyenne County. State Water Office has done the first round of water technology or water irrigation technology systems. They had producers come in and apply, upgrade, nozzle packages, all kinds of things for their pivots, and Kansas Water Office has dealt with that. With that $2 million, they have written the Conservation District a check for $500,000. With that money, we are looking at leveraging that with the federal RCPP grant to continue the work that you guys had started several years ago of clearing brush along the Republican River. That money has to be spent in that priority area. With that, we would get partners from, what we're looking at is the county, Wildlife and Parks, who else was, there's a few DJ listed, Turkey Federation,
Ducks Unlimited.
Ducks Unlimited. And what would happen is that I would take this $500 and leverage it against all these partners, and we can count contribution as in, so you guys, like if you decided to do this, the county would not have to write a check for anything. It's basically counting DJ's and Nathan's salary and hours that they already do doing this project. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Okay.
Do you understand what an RCPP is?
Let's start there.
Okay.
Okay. So are you familiar with the EQIP program that we have where people can come and get cost share for terraces or for grazing? So what an RCPP is where a local stakeholder group asks for their own EQIP bucket of money. So basically what Danny's gonna do is go to the state of Kansas, NRCS, and say, we want our own EQIP program for this special project. So landowners would come in and apply just like they do for the other EQIP projects, but they would only be allowed to do whatever's included in the project. And what Danny's looking at is clearing the phreatophytes along the river in that half-mile space. Basically exactly what DJ's team has been doing. And so the private landowners could come to NRCS. Kale and I would write them conservation plans on how to go about removing the brush and the follow-up treatments that would be required. And they would get a flat rate payment, the same as someone building terraces. But what the amount of money that goes into this bucket is determined by Danny's RCPP proposal. So she can ask for as much as what she has already going into the project. So let's say with her $500,000 that she received from the state, and if she can get partners to write letters saying, yes, we have, up to $500,000 going towards the same goal, the same watershed, clearing the phreatophytes, then let's say she's got $1 million of in-kind altogether. Then she can come to us and say, so here's the proposal. We already have this work doing. We would like NRCS to provide this RCPP EQIP money for private landowners, and we have $1 million working on this project already, so we'd like you to put up $1 million. And so these are hypothetical numbers, just so you know. So then Danny can come up what it would be as a 5-year program where she'd have $200,000 available every year for landowners to come and apply for help with that money. And so the money would go directly to the landowners from NRCS. None of her in-kind contribution money would go to that. So all the letters that are written, all the money that's already being spent in that project would still go where they're going. So obviously the money that you guys give DJ for his salary still goes to DJ, even though if you write the letter, she would be able to count it towards the in-kind money leveraged against this project.
It's a little complicated.
It is.
Which is
It's
why
federal.
I came to kind of help with any questions that you guys might have about how that RCPP EQIP fund would work.
I get the
So do
basics.
does the county charge the landowner so much for DJ?
So you have the ability to
Yeah,
do that.
if DJ does the work, then the county would get or the county would charge the landowner, and that would be the responsibility of the landowner is to go out and hire somebody. Where DJ's not going and saying, "Hey, I can do this for you." It's the landowner would take the responsibility to go out, find the contractor, and then they would pay the contractor, bring
Which could
their
be
bills
DJ.
in
Yeah, it could be.
to us, and get paid.
But I
Yeah.
doubt if there's very many contractors around that could.
Right.
But DJ doesn't do the actual clearing.
No, still have some questions. I know we talked a little bit yesterday. Yes, we, as Cheyenne County, are already going forth with our restoration project we have. We already have all these partners. These are our partners. I cannot speak to them partners and what they would like to do. I have kind of spoke with Kansas Parks and Wildlife, and there is a concern that we have already used our money we've got with our partners, and we have matched it with federal grant money. Therefore, we cannot contribute anything both sides of this, but an in-kind contribution to the county. I don't understand how I would contribute all that time to this project, or how that would actually work, is my question for you, Danny and Bernadette. I don't
So,
still
you
understand
know, and-
how I would actually physically do that.
I don't know what percentage of time you spend on that project, but that might be a more appropriate allocate or description of funds. So if you spend 20% of your time, then it might be more appropriate that the commissioners write Danny a support letter saying, we budget this much money per year towards that project, and it would be maybe more 20% of his salary, whatever the appropriate amount,
I do have figures with me of what we have done before with the contributing partners we already have. If you'd like me to approach and let you see that.
Sure.
The top one was the original grant fund for that Dave Fleming and West Seward wrote for the Life Parks and Tourism to get this started. I hope I have another copy. Yes. So you ladies can see what I'm presenting. The top page too was the first, and as you can see our contributing partners and everything on there, that the county provided $2,500 in kind, which was where we went out, we did labor and provided our equipment to work with the contractor, set up bids, and we also put out $2,500 cash to provide the first round of chemicals. And that was all completed in 2016. The second page was the second grant that we wrote with Ducks Unlimited, that they wrote. They took over all the financials as we asked them to do. And then we contributed $5,000 in kind, that's where I took our equipment, four-wheelers, went out with the contractor, got bids, prospected properties we were working on, and that's how I provided that in-kind money. And I kept track of every hour and machine and what we used for that, for reporting purposes. I don't understand how to use my whole salary to propose in-kind for what they're asking for. That is my question.
No, you're right. It would be more appropriate what is actually spent on the project.
But if that time is already dedicated to one grant,
Well, we can
That
we could count that as towards this project. There would be nothing,
but isn't that double dipping on the in-kind?
No, because her priority area, the work is already being done. The project is existing. She's asking for more money from the federal government to support the project. So the in-kind, the work that's already going on is exactly what NRCS is looking for to match. Because that money is not going to get double spent. It's only going to get spent once. It's just saying something is being contributed. This is being invested in. And NRCS isn't going to invest any more than what's already being invested. They're just going to match it.
So with all that said, what you're really looking for is just a letter of support for this program.
because the more partners and that I can bring to the table and show the NRCS that this is what we got
a lot of
going
people who
on. We got a
want-
lot of people interested in this. Help us out here. So the more that we can show that and partner onto that, the better off this project.
So how would that be implemented? I mean, like if what, let's say that everything is qualified for, all the monies are given, then how would this program work?
So for fun, we're gonna say she has $1 million in support letters saying, like U.S. Fish and Wildlife is gonna build Lowhead dams, and that's $65,000, and she has all these. Let's say $1 million worth of projects are going on that she identifies that she wants NRCS to come to the table and help with. So she can ask up to what she has. Mm-hmm. So she can ask NRCS for $1 million. So what would happen is NRCS has a program called the EQIP program.
Right, but you've already explained all that. I mean,
Okay,
like,
so that's
let's say
where the
Roger
money
and myself
is.
come in, and we're like, listen, we've got River Bottom, and you're saying you're going to get rid of all these brush and olives. What do we do to get rid of that?
You have to
That's like
come
we-
to my office and apply through me and Kale and ask us to come out and write a plan for you, a conservation plan that tells you exactly what you need to do, which species need to be removed, to what level they need to be, excuse me, to what level they need to be removed, and how to follow up and keep them from growing back, which we discussed is probably a 3-year maintenance program. And so once that's completed, once all the removal is complete, you would contact our office, we would go and we would inspect to make
Right,
sure.
what I'm talking about, the removal. I mean, like,
You
hire
would
it.
either have to hire a contractor or someone to come in and
who pays that contractor?
you will
The
pay
producer.
them and you will be given money from us through the
Reimbursed.
contract.
Yeah, it's
Full
the-
reimbursement, or is it a cost share?
It's going to be a flat rate based on a per acre amount, and Danny's still doing the research to see what would be appropriate for this area.
So the landowner could go and get bids and say it's going to cost this contractor X amount of dollar, then the landowners would have to do the responsibility of that. They would have to find the contractor that fits within whatever their budget is, do the work, hire them, and then once all of it's done, they would go up, check it out, make sure it's good. If it's good, then NRCS would submit a payment of the flat rate.
To the landowner.
So if it cost $300 an acre and NRCS, they'd pay $250.
Then the landowner's responsible for the
They'd pay
difference.
$50 an acre.
Do we have any contractors around that can do these projects?
We do some brush clearing, but I don't know, to
The
that
landowners could do it themselves.
level. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
And they
Buy
can,
your own
yeah.
equipment and do it.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and hire the,
You don't have to show
Biggest-
bids or
yes.
stuff like that.
you have a chainsaw and you got a sprayer, go for it. That's up to the landowner.
That makes
As long as
sense.
they do the job according to Kale and Bernadette's
The
plan.
guidelines that set
Yep.
forth in the contract.
Yep.
So they can be actually paid to do their.
Yep. Because
It might be an incentive for guys to do their own work.
well, and we have this $500,000 given to us, so it has to be spent, and if this is the project to continue, and it has to follow in the guidelines of the lawsuit, the statute with Kansas and Colorado, and this fits
Okay,
right in there.
another question. This just actually pertains to the river
It's a
basin.
half mile off the riverbank.
Half
yes,
mile.
that's the priority area.
So we
Either
can't-
way,
we can't talk about Hell's Canyon or anything else coming into it. It's just that half mile either side of the river.
Mm-hmm.
Still, that's pretty generous.
What did you say,
Basically, see the
42,000
trees and
acres?
noise.
Yes, Danny, we looked at 20,000 approximate acres because not every acre within the
Has
half
brush,
mile of the
right.
river has a tree infestation, but we have to cover that area because that's within our scope. of our
Exactly.
budget.
So you said 20,000 acres?
Of infested brush.
Yeah, I've infested brush, but your total acreage within the half mile coverage is 42,000. It doubles.
What are you thinking, guys?
Well, that's kind of out of my realm. I'm not really sure what's going on with it. to be
Well,
honest.
it's way
But
out
let
of
me,
my time.
okay, so just so I understand, because you've already got this money and basically it's gonna be matched by federal money, then you're gonna have a bigger pot to draw from to do this project, is what it boils down to. So the price per acre that would be able to be paid basically would double.
Well, you have to remember, all that in-kind money is already being spent
Right.
on the various projects. Whatever money you guys, were saying you're putting towards this project, that's already spent.
Right.
So the only money that's going to the landowners is whatever money comes from NRCS. So, like I said, if she asked for $1 million, that would give her $200,000 a year for 5 years to offer up to local landowners.
Right, but
to
what
come
about
in.
this 500,000 that's coming from the 2 million?
That is something that Danny will have to figure out, the board will have to figure out how they're gonna spend that, and
Because
they've,
that money
entertained some
actually
different
has to
ideas.
be, I can't just spend that money unless I have legislation approval, because that comes from Colorado tax money. And anytime that I were to write a check out of that, I have to get water office approval. That's just the initial pot to get all of this other federal money to us.
So it would give you more flexibility in regards to the spending if you use the federal money as opposed to
Yes.
the settlement money.
Well, and then also using federal funds, I get to use Kale and Bernadette with their expertise, writing conservation plans, which, as you guys know, Kale's already doing that. He's already good at what he does there. And getting that, it's already in place. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if we've got that side already for us, it would make sense to go with that instead of my board, which is what they don't want to do, writing a whole new conservation plans, contracts, all that when this is already here.
Okay, now it's making sense. Okay.
Okay, yeah, let's move forward with it. I think if you can get with Scott and Leslie, we'll design a a letter of support, get it done.
Sounds good.
And if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to contact the office about the details of the RCPP proposal.
Well, I'm guessing we'll have a few watch the video, and you should be getting calls.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a great program, guys. It is something for our county to develop into. It
Well, we
really
have the
is.
money. Let's
We have
use
the
it.
money.
Yes, and use it
Right.
to double.
And if, as silly as it sounds, I mean, the state water office has already used, we'll just say $500,000 out of that $2 million on just farmers that just have irrigation. I mean, there's.
Well, and it was volunteer too.
Exactly. And by clearing the brush and the extra trees, you're allowing maybe more cattle, people that are or they have cows, and you can get more use out of your rangeland. So it's kind of more, not just geared to these people, a lot more,
It brings in a lot more stakeholders.
yeah.
And it's saving water.
Well, if we don't do something between the red cedars and Russian hollies, we're going to be covered.
Well, you're gonna get more water flow in the Republican River by doing this than you are putting on new sprinkler packages.
Well, and like DJ mentioned yesterday, how fast the grasses grow back after
Yes.
all that's cleared out.
Our native grasses grow back quite aggressively from what we're finding. We didn't think that was going to be possible, but puts it on the ground, and research has shown that yes, it makes a heck of a difference. It's also helping to open area to fight the noxious weeds in Cheyenne County along the river.
It sounds like a benefit for
I know
everybody.
John Keller had success out there.
Okay,
Very good.
we'll
Thank you,
move
guys.
forward, see what happens.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
I'll get with you about a letter.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, and let's keep DJ in the loop because they've got that other thing going on.
They've been
Yeah,
very
he has
tough.
great data.
Yeah,
Yes, no, we
yeah.
have
I'm just
great
saying,
data.
because Terry mentioned
That
Scott and
gives
I
you
want to keep
information
all
on
of
what we
us
did.
working together.
Yeah,
on this.
absolutely, because I think the big question is going to be, what's the dollar amount you're going to put down?
Right.
Which doesn't really, in the long term, affect us other than how much she's going to be able to ask.
Right, but another question that I have is it only limited to what DJ does? Can we look at maybe Road and Bridge or other departments?
Anything that goes towards that mission of,
Water conservation.
Water
Absolutely.
conservation.
yeah, so whatever else you guys have for tools in the bucket would be great.
Okay,
All right.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
This purse.
Thank you.
Microphone in the video.
Nope, I got mine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have something else, DJ?
I do. Along with this, we, as the compact for the South Fork Republican River, we have moved forward and have got another grant through Ducks Unlimited. Sorry, I got the phone here. And we are looking at possibly being awarded another $80,000 to $100,000 to also to be used in Cheyenne County. But since it has already been federally matched, there is you cannot double dip out of two federal pots. That's where the conflict begins. And that's why we cannot allocate money to the NRCS, because they've already we're given $500,000 that they're trying to match. And that's why I was concerned about how the in-kind's gonna work when we're already doing two different things, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's too complicated for me to.
Yes, and Ducks Unlimited and the Kansas Parks of Wildlife, we want to support them and what they do on that too, but we have to make sure we don't get ourselves in trouble at the same time. So we're just kind of being quite silent
And
about
that's
it
why I was asking
and
the
asking a
question.
lot of questions that we still have questions that need answered before a real commitment of an in-kind can happen.
Yeah, because if it's already been dedicated as an in-kind to one federal program, I don't see how it can be dedicated again for another. It
It is
makes me
considered
very,
fraud.
very nervous.
It is considered federal fraud.
Well, it would be.
Yes,
I mean, if you're taking from two different entities for the same,
yes.
Yeah.
But yes, we do have an extensive list of contractors that could be used, that our local landowners or producers, anybody, I can give access to them so they can try to get their own bids and work with them so they can qualify for this other program. So in hand, we could work together to an extent, to make sure everybody benefits from what's been given.
You just gotta watch what you
Yes.
put down for his.
Yeah, and stay in contact with, especially Leslie. Just make sure we don't get stepped out of bounds here somewhere.
Yes. I haven't had time to get emails
'Cause-
to you, Leslie.
No,
I've
no,
been pretty
I mean,
busy.
no, it's fine. It's fine, because I think we needed to have this conversation with the ladies before I could even start to have an intelligent conversation about this.
When they mulch these trees, does that put seed back in the ground or no?
No, it is not putting it back into the ground. Your Russian olive trees, they have millions of seeds per tree. I mean, it is unbelievable. It looks like little black peas and pods out there all over the place. And yes, when they get shredded, they get scattered. They also float down the river. And we're seeing about a 40 to 60% regrowth within a year afterward. And that's why there's a lot of landowner maintenance, and there's contracts that we have involved that it is the landowner's responsibility. But yes, my department and the wildlife department has come in and helped. That is where my in-kind money has been spent, and I've kept track of every hour and dollar of it.
What do you do with that? Do you spray those or?
Yes, we come back in usually a year later, when the saplings are 4 foot tall, and we spray the saplings with approved aquatic chemicals. Which also it should be in that
But
list
this
I gave
program
you.
is actually a cost share, right?
Yes, this is a cost share. We pay, right now, we pay 75% of the entire cost. And then the 25% of the landowner comes back, and that actually, a lot of it gets contributed to the grant we wrote now, but then what's left from the landowners gets recontributed, and we just keep moving forward that way. Therefore, it isn't technically costing any counties or any other entities. We're just getting partners to match for federal funds. But in this, our grants or the NACA, you have to spend your contribution money before you spend a penny of federal money. And that's a conflict I see in the other. You can't hold their money for principal. You can't spend their money and hold your money for principal is what I'm getting at. That's not allowed in a federal grant. I know I've done the reporting for ours twice.
Well, just make sure you manage it, keep an eye on it. If there's a problem, let's hear about it sooner than later.
Yes. Right now, everything's looking pretty kosher. Like I said, our group still has a bunch of questions with this, but we're in support to work with them, and it's not that we don't want to play two separate entities. We want to work together for the best of this community.
But we want to take advantage of what's offered.
Yes,
too,
yes.
legitimately.
But you don't want to violate any terms,
Right.
because then you're
That is
paying all
correct.
this money back.
That is correct.
We want to make sure we're going down the right path, that's for sure.
But that's why I brought forth all the information. Yes, I knew it was their presentation, but I just wanted to make sure you knew what the county has already been doing and what I've been doing.
Yeah. Well, I think a letter of support's still appropriate,
Yes.
and then we'll see what happens. Okay,
Oh, thank you. That's all I have.
thanks, DJ.
You have a great day.
Anything else, Scott?
I
Leslie?
have to just present that
Oh,
to
yeah.
someone.
Thank you for the approval letter for the secondary for the NWAPG.
Anytime.
This is my copy to give to their secretary.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's this for?
This is for the community development, for the van, the transportation van that, the Shannon County Development is. Okay, I just want to say on behalf of the Cheyenne County Development Center, they want to give you the certificate of appreciation for the van, the job you're doing with this community van.
Okay.
We appreciate what you do. Thank you.
All right, very good.
Thank you,
I'll
guys.
pass it on to the drivers. They do all the work.
Well, it's a lot of both sides, coordinating it.
And I'm working on the grant right now, so we will be presenting that at the end of the month, so.
Okay, thank you.
Carrie, get your signature hand ready again.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Yep.
Hey, anything else we need to visit about?
I don't think so. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm now the commissioner on the development.
How many hats are you gonna wear?
I don't know, but somebody had to do it, I guess.
Oh, wow.